Thanks for checking out another clip of the Cashflow Contractor. We'd love to have you as a part of our audience. Click subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Can you share really quick, Cory, the CRMs that you've been through?
Yeah, when we first started, we was using a Zoho product, Zoho Invoice, I think is what it's called. It was just a free product that we started with. Did everything we needed to. Fine. We worked much into any automations or we didn't have any processes or systems then. Then we went to Job Progress. Was with them for maybe 2 years. Struggled through those 2 years. For anybody that's ever changed CRMs, it's an absolute nightmare. Especially when you start getting a team and you got to train everybody on a new CRM. So, I was reluctant to change, but, we ended up changing from Job Progress got bought out, which is now called Leap. But we ended up changing to a new CRM called Builder Prime. Builder Prime has done us good. It's not 100%, but I've tested a lot of them out, worked at a lot of them. I don't know that you'll ever find one that's 100% perfect. But it does well for us. Full disclosure, like we probably wasn't tracking QuickBooks as good as we should have when we had that integration together. So the reason I said we're looking at slightly integrating is Builder Prime allows us to integrate either estimates, invoices, or payments. We can choose the three. And Tracy and I right now are talking about integrating the estimates only. That way it don't trigger a sale or a payment or an invoice or anything. That way a customer's proposal will automatically transfer to QuickBooks, and it saves her time having to type in the customer's name, the customer's address, their phone number. It'll automatically put it there, and then she can review that estimate in QuickBooks and decide when the right time is to create an invoice and all that good stuff.
So the way, and we don't have to spend much on this because I want to hear more about your story, but I work with a lot of companies on this exact issue. And a lot of times I actually have, if they're collecting payments through QuickBooks, I actually have them only send information from QuickBooks to the CRM and not from the CRM to QuickBooks. Now, the reasoning for that is because of essentially what you've said. Every time they create an estimate, well, if there's a change to the estimate, it creates a new estimate in QuickBooks. And then you have all this double entry happening or multiple duplicates. And so sales forecasting would happen inside of your CRM, and then actual numbers would happen inside of QuickBooks. Now, you can do it the way that you said because you don't want to have the double entry of like, okay, I've got to put it into the sales system and then I've got to put it into QuickBooks. But a lot of times, if you're doing billing through your CRM, then I would just have the invoice only go. So only the payment goes into QuickBooks because you're not going to get duplicate payments. You know what I mean? That's the way that I think about it. Yeah. But anyways, that's a big issue that people have, and some people aren't aware of it, just like you said, where they're integrated, it works. And that's not the case.
No.
Yeah.
I'm thankful Tracy and the other manager, her name was Tabitha. I'm thankful they found this issue. I mean, it was I would say 2 or 3 more months, this issue, it'll put us out of business.
Wow.
And at the time we were 3.7 million, I think is what we did that year.
Wow.
So like, I mean, we wasn't a huge company by any means, but we wasn't a 1 or 2 man show.
You weren't mom and pop. Yeah, exactly.
I'm thankful they were able to find it and we were able to correct it. Cause I mean, it was duplicating the income with 0 expenses tied to it. So you can imagine what that was doing for my net profit number. I mean, again, I left the fire department. I left a private pension. I bought $1 million commercial facility. I had to call the bank. And say it was an SBA loan. And I said, hey, I just want y'all to know there was no negligence on my part. I'm putting this in writing so it's documented. This is what occurred. I will still be able to make my mortgage, but I want y'all to know ahead of time, because I didn't want them to think that I, forged the numbers or whatever. And thankfully they, most banks, like, as long as you pay your payment, we don't give a shit. But I mean, they care more than that. I'm paraphrasing, but yeah, I mean, this was a huge deal. I had promoted some people. I had created new overhead positions. I had given pay raises. I'd given myself a pay raise, and then that world came crashing quick.
So how did you fix that? What was you fixed the solution or the issue with the CRM and QuickBooks, but how did you fix that? The additional overhead, the increase in pay for yourself and other employees. How did you do that?
Well, with the help of my business coach and bouncing some questions off Brian Gottlieb, Martin mentioned it earlier. the first step was transparency. I was transparent, not with my whole team, with my leadership team. And, it took some time to come up with a plan. But first and foremost, the biggest part of the plan was I cut my salary significantly. The most, I was the first and the most. That's something I learned at the fire department as a leader. You're the first to do something that you don't want to do, and you're the last to do something that you do want to do. For example, at the fire department, leaders eat last. So when it's dinner time, the leader goes last. So cut my salary. I'm thankful that my sales manager lives well within his means as well. I had to cut his. Our goal really was to keep it from getting to our guys in the field. That was our goal. We wanted to absorb as much as we could within the leadership side. So I had to cut my sales manager's salary some. Again, I was able to do that through transparency and trust. Luckily I feel like I did a good job of already taking care of him in the past. So that allowed me to be able to have this conversation with him and him to buy into it. I had to cut some bonuses out, and incentives for my management team. And I was just upfront and honest with him. I said, hey, we have to cut expenses, and we have to try to push our guys to get a little bit more out of them. This is going to be a team effort. Best case scenario, 6 months, worst case, 12 months. We were closer to the 12-month mark, and full disclosure, like we're out of the actual hole today, but the hole we're in now is we don't have the rainy day fund built up that we should for the size of company that we are. We do have some line of credits that we don't owe any balance on. So, at the moment that's our rainy day fund, but I won't cash in the bank as our rainy day fund. So we still got some work to do this year. I think we'll come out of it once we have a solid 3 or 4 months in a row. I think we'll be out of it. But honestly, it just started with transparency.
That's great. I love that.
Yeah, I want to give you a credit for calling the bank proactively, and that takes some courage. I mean, that's the right thing to do, but sometimes you think, well, I just keep paying them. They don't need to know this. And then bringing your team in and makes them loyal because they know they're getting that's very impressive.
I think you're giving I think what a lot of people miss when they aren't transparent, like you said, is they miss out on the opportunity to trust employees, and people want to be trusted. And by you sharing and divulging sensitive information that is, people could see it as embarrassing, people could see it as a shame, but it's not like you intentionally did these things. It's just the reality of what happened. And by approaching it like that, now your team has the opportunity to become a trustworthy person to someone else and to a company. And people want that opportunity. But whenever we hide these things, we miss out on the opportunity of creating a trustworthy team and a trustworthy environment. And that trust is so big. It's something that you can't really put a price on, is having a trustworthy team,
Sure.
So you can find skilled people, you can find, great people to work with, but finding someone you really trust and that trusts you, like now they trust you as well, right? If something else were to come up, hey, we got through this before, we can do it again because Cory's leading us, And so it's huge.
I'd like to kind of tie it together. What I heard was your books reported had $600,000 that you never made. And you saw that on your profit and loss statement. And you took action in the form of quitting your job and, hey, it's working great.
Yes, sir.
Well, our listeners, and they're sitting there thinking, are you kidding me? You think you made $1 million and you don't have any money? Don't you think something's going wrong? Okay. Well, that's a question to you. Ultimately, you did. But I also want to point out that it is very possible to make $1 million and not have any money because you bought stuff, inventory, you have it in receivables. So I just tying it together for people thinking, well, duh, if my book said I made $1 million and I don't have any money, I'd know something was wrong. Well, it happens every day.
You would feel it like Cory did, but you wouldn't know it.
Well, you'd be going, yeah, that's why that's the name of my book. There are lots of reasons besides mistaken, coding that you make a profit, but you don't have any money. So I just think people listening wonder how that could happen. And it can happen really, really easily.
Thanks for checking out a clip from the Cashflow Contractor. We have full episodes where we go deep on topics that help you grow a construction business that runs without you, so you can have less stress, more time, more money. Now, we've got other videos, other clips, but if you want to check out the full episode for this clip, you can click wherever our editor put it. It might be here, it might be there, it might be over my face, I don't know. But thank you for checking us out. We'd love to have you as a part of our audience. So subscribe or check out a full episode wherever you get podcasts.